Welcome to Ralph's Fly Box. Today we're going to tie the Ephemerella dorythea, or as commonly known in this area, the little sulphur. Some sections you'll hear it called the pale evening dun, but this is the sulphur that carries the majority of the summer. Let's go over how I tie this one. There's a million patterns out there. This is the most productive one that I have for the dun. I start out with a size 16. I'll go as small as 18. Seldom will I have to go to 20. But a size 16 standard dry fly hook and an olive dun A-dot uni thread. And we'll start our thread. Move it to the rear of the shank. And the first material you're going to tie in is your tail. And I use medium Pardo or medium dark. It's speckled CDL or Coq de Leon. And you're going to tie in your tail about shank length. I don't splay my tail in this for this pattern. I keep it on the top and grouped. You'll see a lot of these patterns with the tail splayed, and I do splay the pattern on some. But in this particular pattern, I don't. Okay, your next material you're going to tie in is your abdomen. For the abdomen, we use sulphur goose biot. Now, whenever I tie in goose biot, I trim the first, I'd say, 1/4 inch off. I find it's more fragile than I desire, and it tends to break on me. So instead of fighting with it, I trim it off. And you're going to give it a little bit of a taper underbody. I like to build it up with the thread a little bit. Helps the biot lay nicer. And you're going to wind your biot forward. One in front of the other. And when I get to the end, or to the thorax, I usually give an extra wrap. I'd rather have the body extend up into the thorax. I can overwrap the body, but I like to avoid having just short of the abdomen where I want it to be. And then you have a gap, and when you try and make up for it, your fly gets out of proportion. So I'd rather have a little bit forward of an abdomen on a material that I can overwrap. That's just technique. And there's your thorax. The next material you're going to tie in is your hackle. I use honey or golden badger neck, and tie it in at the thorax and bring my thread forward. And I'm going to give Usually 2.5 to 3 tight wraps. I'm not giving a full collar. So I'm not going to bring it all the way forward. I'm going to leave a fairly decent section to tie in my CDC. Make sure my thread is back. Make sure my collar is where I want it. And then on top, I'm going to trim it off. Because we're going to tie in our CDC. And I prepare my CDC by trimming the tip out. What I do is I trim the tip back in the stem the distance of the CDC fibers on the tip. That's about how much I take off. And you're going to sweep your fibers back as such towards the tip, and you're going to tie it in with the tip facing towards the tail. And don't worry about, you want it to be long, so you wanted this to extend at least as far as the tail or shank length. I tie it in, I give a few wraps just to keep it on top, and then I bend or fold my CDC back over. Try and grab as many of the hackle fibers as I can to get them out of the way. Make sure you sweep your CDC. Got a few fibers that aren't cooperating. I don't want to trap them if I don't have to. And then start your head. Your head's going to be a little larger on this pattern. Go till you trap it. And at that point, if I do trap any extra fibers, I'll try and trim them off at this point and then make those the last. And make sure you lock down that CDC good. Build your head to cover it up. You're gonna have to cover up the fold. Don't worry about that. It is a little bit larger head, but the fly has a fairly prominent head too. And then whip finish. And then you're going to take your CDC, pull it up about 45 degrees, take your scissors, even with the end of the abdomen, and trim them off. And you'll see that it fans out on its own pretty much. And then last but not least, for this pattern, I come underneath, I trim it off at the point. And then we finish this pattern up with a dab of Sally Henson's. Lock that prominent head in place. And there it is. The little Sulphur CDC. It is a very effective pattern for me. I do fish this as a dun, not an emerger. It just does extremely well more as a dun. I fish the LTD as an emerger. Sits a little lower in the film, but this is it. This fly will carry you through most of the summer on most of central Pennsylvania or the northeast trout waters. The little Sulphur. Hope it adds to your box. See you in the water.